Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next session of From Nothing, Irolahne's story. As we jump ahead a little bit to the next morning, I'd like you to roll me, as
Oh shit!
always, a charisma saving throw.
Much.
Go ahead and roll a charisma save.
When the thing loads, you might want to pause.
Sure thing.
I figured it would have started up immediately. Okay. A charisma save, yeah?
Yes.
Alright. Bring up my character, please. Please. It's not there. It's better than last
21. You awaken, well rested, not having slept in. It is maybe about 5:30 in the morning. You have plenty of time to go grab something to eat if you'd like. You do not have any nightmares that plague you.
Good, yeah. She'll go get something to eat.
Okay. You head down for breakfast during the week. Let me roll to see how they do. Today's breakfast is remarkably hearty. It is a crumb steak served with eggs, potatoes, various other mixed vegetables, and a lot of orange juice. It seems as though that goes quickly around here. And you gain 10 temporary hit points.
Yes. Cool. Alright. Well, she won't take long to eat breakfast. She doesn't dilly-dally with that.
Okay.
She's gonna head straight to class.
Okay. You promptly head directly to the sorcery classroom. As you
Hold on a
do,
second. Hold on.
okay,
I had 8 temporary hit points last session. Does
this
that...
replaces them.
Okay. Thank you. Alright.
As you head into the sorcery classroom, you notice there is a buzz of conversation. In particular, some of the other students appear to be talking about the coming of a new age for Aurelia. You hear about the king has been killed, and there will be a Kingsmoot where a new king is elected. The king of Aurelia is the sort of thing chosen by the populace, but only by a generation. And you know nothing about that.
No, not at all. Tiggs?
It doesn't really mean anything to you. But as the sorcery instructor stands up from her desk, she says, "All right, that's enough. Everyone, please relax. Begin your practices. And for today, I'd like you to roll me just a basic spellcasting check. So charisma plus proficiency for you as a sorcerer."
Which one's my proficiency? So
Just charisma plus 2.
+2. Okay.
So roll me a d20, and it's going to be plus 6.
20?
You roll a dirty 20. Okay.
Yeah.
You perform markedly well for the first half of the day. The lessons seem to be well handled by you. One moment. Your performance throughout the first half of the day is markedly well. You remember the lessons that you've already had, and the intuition by which you perform magical spells, you're getting used to it. For the second half of the day, as Emilla has dismissed most of the students to practice on their own time, she looks to you and she says, "Irolahne, I have an unusual task for you, and I wanted to know, how familiar are you with spellscrolls?"
I've never handled one. I've just done everything by hand. Why?
Well, using a spell scroll is something that as a sorcerer, you're going to have to learn how to do. Because, as a sorcerer, your selection of spells that you can use are limited based on the nature of your magic and how the weave interacts with your bloodline. As such, you can finagle the system, as it were. You can cast spells you wouldn't normally be able to by using spell scrolls. Now, a spell scroll is only a one-use item. Once you've read a spell scroll, it is done for. It burns to ash once the magic contained within is expended. That is, unfortunately, a leg up wizards have on us, as they can inscribe a spell scroll and recast said spells as many times as they like. We have other advantages. Being innate beings of magic, we can manipulate them a little bit more naturally than a wizard can. As you read a spell scroll, you will understand how the spell works, and then you can twist it with your own unique flavor of magic. I have for you here 50 gold pieces. You are to head down to the Griffin's Bag and purchase a spell scroll of a spell that you do not already know how to cast. Simple enough?
Yeah, sure. It was simple last time, it'll be simple this time, right?
Exactly. The choice of spell is up to you, but I will pay attention as to what sort of spell you purchase from good old Glass.
Well, then I guess I'll get to it then.
Good. Purchase the spell and return here. I will be waiting.
Okay, I'll be back. And she heads out. She's like, okay, I got shit to do today.
Okay, so you head out to the city. We head out to the city map as you proceed through Ferrum, heading toward the South Docks and the Griffin's Bag. One moment here. All right, roll me a d8, please, as you head out into the city proper.
Yes, time. 5.
Roll me a d100.
What kind of trouble can I get into today? It's a 19.
A 19. Okay. You see that heading up the main stretch of the Ferrum Market. So the road down towards the Ferrum Market is a slight slope. It's not a severe one, but you see a pair of individuals are pushing a massive keg, an enormous barrel all the way up. They are struggling and grunting as they push it, and you hear them kind of boisterously laughing to each other about how much ale they're going to enjoy once they get this to the top of the hill. That doesn't seem to matter too much, but...
No. Is it in my general direction? Is it in my way?
It's not in the way. It's on the side of the road as they're pushing it upward. You see people are kind of giving them a bit of a berth as they make their way up. They're basically up by the East Park at the moment. They've almost made it to the gate.
Yeah, she'd help them. She'd be like, you know what, I have time.
You would help them?
Here? Yes, she's gonna need some help.
The dwarf pushing it on the right-hand side turns and looks at you and says, "Oh, we could absolutely use some help, if you don't mind. If you take this end, that'll save me some trouble."
Okay. She'll take it. She'll push.
Roll me athletics.
Oh no. Oh no, I think I might have fucked myself with this one. Athletics, there it is. Please.
A 21. With your aid, they easily make the task of pushing this enormous keg, which weighs quite a lot, all the way up the road. Roll me a straight intelligence check. A 14. As you're pushing the keg, you notice it shifts not as you would expect it to. If this keg that's full of ale, it seems like it's probably full of some very thick ale. Remarkably so. As if the ale was viscous. The dwarf next to you says, "Oh, it's dwarven ale it is."
What's ale? I mean, she stumbles. I mean, what kind? Like, how's that taste? Is ale?
It's, it's a fresh cask of dwarven stout, straight out of Terracona. It's fresh off the barge. We're just hauling it up to the gate if we can.
Well, I hope it all goes well for you then.
Thank you kindly.
Really heavy.
It's a lot. There's a lot in here. I think it's maybe 100 gallons, something like that.
She doesn't know measurements like that.
Okay. As you get to like the flatland, they thank you, and the dwarf gives you 5 silver as a tip for the aid.
Oh, you really don't have to. I just figured you need some help, but thank you.
Oh, it's good hard work for anyone. We appreciate it.
Pockets. Well, I hope you guys have a nice day.
And you too, miss. And the two of them are clearly sweating, and they're grateful to you. As you make your way back down the road, roll me a perception check.
Oof, not paying attention.
Okay. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
You make your way down towards the Griffin's Bag. None the wiser, no worries as you make it to the shop. Which means I do need to change the music.
Ooh.
As you arrive at the Griffin's Bag, it is just as busy as you've ever seen it. People are coming in and out, and it is early in the afternoon, so it's kind of a bit of a crowd to get into the Griffin's Bag at the moment.
Does it look like something's going on?
No, there's just a lot of people buying things.
A busy store. Okay.
Yes. Now, you know that there are shelves devoted to spell scrolls. You've been here before, you've seen them before, and you know that what you're looking for is likely there. And at a glance, you can see that the spell scrolls are divided by cost and by power. Which I'm going to send you a list of spells that would be 50 gold pieces.
Okay.
Oh boy, this is a mess, but it'll do.
Oh no. Oh, okay.
So what it matters the most is the first word in each of those lines.
Okay.
You see that in Discord? Okay, so as you're perusing through the shelves, looking at all the different spells, you can buy any one of these for 50 gold.
Well, hold on, I forgot what all I had already.
It might be wise to check your spell list, yes.
Yeah.
A spell you already know how to cast would not help.
None of these are cantrips, right? These are all...
They're all first level.
Okay. Alright, well, I have none of these then. Can you read me the Sudden Awakening roll?
If it's a UA, ignore it.
Oh, okay. What does that mean?
Sorry. UA means Unearthed Arcana. It is the annoying spells that D&D has not decided to balance before releasing it to the public.
Of course. Well, she's probably gonna have like a really hard time because in between all of them, she's kind of weighing. What's the word I'm looking for?
Pros and cons.
No, not
What
pros and
she already
cons.
knows, and
No, utility over like attack.
okay.
Um,
You are welcome to fetch a staff member.
actually, does she see glass?
Yeah, he's at the front
Okay.
counter.
She's gonna grab one spell scroll of detect language. I believe
Okay.
that's what it is. Comprehend
Detect,
language.
comprehend languages. Yes.
Stuff in the area. And what's the flavor of silent image?
Silent image allows you to cast basically a potent illusion. It doesn't make any sound, but it can look like whatever you like. As you look at the scroll, I will pull up silent image for you so you can read what it actually does, as it would explain itself on the spell itself. This is silent image. Oh, hold on. I need to edit this.
Just visual. Okay.
Which can be quite potent.
Yes. I mean, um, she's gonna pick up one of those.
A scroll of
And then-
silent image? Okay.
Yes. And then she's gonna pick up. I want one attack one, but I'm trying to decide whether or not I can. Uh. And she's gonna pick up Burning Hands.
Burning Hands. A classic. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
One moment. There is that.
Okay.
Let me first do. There we go.
She's also eyeballing the Thunder Wave. So she's gonna grab that one too, and then she's gonna head up to the front desk.
Thunderwave as well. Okay, hold on. Let me pull that up. Alright, that is posted in Discord as well.
Okay.
You grab these 4 spell scrolls and you head to the front counter. As you do, Glass looks up and says, "Ah, Irolahne, it is a pleasure to see you again."
Hi, yes, I'm back. I actually have question for you.
I am happy to provide answers. How can I help?
She lays out the did I grab 3 or 4? 4. She lays out the 4 scrolls.
Okay.
And she's like, so I know we don't really know each other, but which one do you think would be best for a beginner sorcerer like me?
Well, it is always a pleasure to offer my expertise to the budding young mind. You do know, as you practice these magics, you grow to learn them. Yes?
Well, yeah, but for now, to start off with.
To start. Okay. Well, as a sorcerer, you, I believe, are granted your magic by your bloodline. And so, let's see what you have here. Comprehend languages, yes, good. Silent image, always useful. Can get yourself out of many sticky situations. Burning hands, as they say, one of the oldest spells decided by man. And, of course, Thunderwave. If you need to make space, you can't really go wrong with Thunderwave. Okay. Well, based on the magic you already know, which of these fills a hole that you are needing filled, if you know what I mean? A weakness that you have, that these would shore up. I don't know what magic you already know, you see.
Oh, well, you see, no, I know this one that does this thing with hands, and then a whispery kind of one, and then one that shields me, and then I think I throw some sort of magic bolt. Oh, and I can hurt somebody in the head. That one I haven't practiced, but I thought about practicing it a while ago. And then I can shoot fire, and then I can make things light up. Oh, and I can make, like, swords come out of nowhere. It's pretty cool.
Okay, it sounds as though you have the offensive box well checked, at least, from what I can tell. If you are trying to study more and learn more about the world around you, comprehend languages can allow you to read things that you would never have been able to before. Additionally, perhaps not fighting is often the right choice, in which case silent image might be the proper selection for you here. If you're only buying one, I think I would guide you carefully towards silent image. If just because illusions can truly be the most useful spells a wizard can know. It is truly limited by your own creativity.
Sorry, I forgot how much. I actually only have 5 gold to my name, so I'm only buying one. Well, that comprehend languages one really caught my eye when I checked those, so I think I'll take that one.
Comprehend languages, alright. That'll be 50 gold pieces, please.
She hands over the gold.
And you are now the owner of a comprehend languages spell. For 1 hour, you are able to read any language. Once you cast it, obviously.
And only for that one time that I cast it?
One moment, please. I will post it in the Discord, as it was one of the ones that we did not actually discuss.
We also didn't discuss this, but is it suggested that I gave the extra 30 gold back to my teacher?
The extra 30 gold?
Yeah. When I gave her the diamond and I gave her the gold back too.
You said you did.
I thought I did. I don't remember if I did or not.
You said you did.
Okay.
So, comprehend languages. For the duration, you understand the literal meaning of any spoken language that you hear. You also understand any written language that you see, but you must be touching the surface on which the words are written. It takes about 1 minute to read 1 page of text.
Okay. Yep. I think that's it.
Then it has been a pleasure, once again, Irolahne.
Pleasure's all mine. I hope to see you again. I'm gonna head back to class.
Best of luck to you. And he takes the remaining scrolls, sets them aside to be replaced on the shelves, and bids you farewell.
She scurries out the door.
Okay. Let me pull up the map once more, and as always, roll me a d8.
Okay. Was that their invisibility cloak still there?
Yep, it sure was.
1.
A 1. There is no encounter as you make your way back up to the castle. And as you return, heading back into the Merryguard Academy and back to the sorcery classroom, Amila is back at her desk. The students are still at their various desks, studying their own parchments and such. And as
I,
you return...
I got it. I got the scroll. A scroll.
Ah, and what was it you chose?
Comprehend languages.
Good to know. All right. So, now for the second part of your lesson. As a sorcerer, when you learn, or rather, when you grow in experience, you will find yourself learning more and more spells. When you have cast spells from a spell scroll, you have introduced that magic to your bloodline. You have developed a memory within your blood for the spell that you've cast. And that memory will sing towards, well, the weave. And as you grow and you cast spells from spell scrolls, you'll find it easier to learn spells you've already cast than ones that you've just heard of or what is granted to you by the weave. Does that make sense?
It's like an imprint.
Exactly. Mechanically, as a sorcerer, when you level up, you get to choose new spells. But if you've cast the same spell from a spell scroll multiple times, when you level up, you can add that spell to your known spells.
So the scroll doesn't like immediately disintegrate after I use it the first time.
No, it does.
Oh, okay.
But when you level up, you, like, let's say if you cast Comprehend Languages twice using spell scrolls, when you reach the next level, you can add Comprehend Languages to your spell list without taking up one of the 2 spells you get when you level up.
Gotcha. Okay.
You basically get it for free when you level up.
So that is a useful little mechanic for scrolls for sorcerers. Gotcha.
Yes. So Amila says, the first things first. Let's find something for you to read that you would not be able to otherwise. What interests you, Irolahne?
I don't know many of the languages at all. I mean, it's obvious. I can speak Draconic, but that's pretty much it.
Okay. Well, what about the world interests you? What would you like to read about that maybe you couldn't have before? Maybe a history, maybe a unique legend, or maybe a child's book. Something that would be amusing to read that you couldn't have otherwise, without Comprehend Languages.
Nothing comes to her mind. Nothing comes to my mind. She thinks for a moment, shrugs. She's like, as much reading as I do, I never run into anything that I couldn't understand in that way.
Well, then I'm afraid the second part of this lesson must be put on hold until we find something that needs to be read. Comprehend Languages will be extremely useful for you in very unique situations. For example, if you and your party are sneaking up on an enemy force, and you need to understand what they are saying, Comprehend Languages will come in very useful in moments such as that.
But I thought the scroll, she opens the scroll, I thought it said, I have to be touching the surface where words are written. How can I... Oh, that I hear. I see it. I see it in the beginning. Learning how to read, apparently.
I knew you'd get there.
What about... I don't know, what... Out of all the things that she's learned, what are the languages that... Fuck, yeah, I don't know. First thing that comes to mind is Infernal.
Mm-hmm.
But
Infernal does come up a lot in our adversaries. Also, many legends and old stories are written in Infernal, as, well, around the world, devils have had quite a hand in the formation of places. Well, Celestial is also a language many legends are written in. The sort of thing that tells the histories of, well, the world. Celestial is commonly used when a story or a legend is hopefully blessed by a deity or a divine.
I'd like to practice that then.
All right. Let's see what we can find. And Amila heads toward the shelves. One moment.
Oh no.
Okay. Hold on. Okay. She pulls down a book that is clearly written in a brilliant scroll-like language, one that you can't read, and she holds it out to you. Well, first things first.
She'll take the book and she'll open the scroll up on one of the tables and open up the book to a new random page. And she's actually going to start the scroll. Okay, so how do I do this?
You read the scroll with the intention of casting the spell. You focus on the words and you focus on the sigil inscribed into the scroll. After you've read the scroll and you focus on the sigil, you'll find that sigil burns its way through the paper until it is gone.
She'll put her hand on the book and she will begin reciting whatever words on the scroll to cast the spell.
This is a first level spell of the Sorcerer's spell list, and so there is no roll required, and you cast Comprehend Languages. It's almost as if as you're reading off the words on the spell scroll, the words echo in your mind back to you, as if hearing yourself speak, but they are not in the same language you spoke. They're not in Common, they're not in Draconic. They sound as if in hundreds of different languages all at once. And it is a disorienting feeling, but it only lasts a moment. And then you realize as you're looking down at the book, you understand what is written there.
What does it say?
In Celestial, the book is titled The Illuminative Triumphs of the First King. It is an old book telling of the legends of Aegir, the god of time. And as you read, well, first I'd like you to roll me a investigation check at advantage.
Okay.
We'll see how well you grasp what is in this book. A 12. It's pretty dense. It is a collection of legends and myths. As you're reading through it, you discover the old god of time is thought to be the original father of all the gods. As you read through it, you learn that the god of time protects his realm ferociously. Should individuals decide to play with time magic, those sorts of things, it's almost as though he emits warnings that should mortals decide to play around with the rules of time, Aegir himself will enforce them. You also learn that the other gods all call him Father, whether they are truly connected to him or not. Aegir being the oldest god, the first king of the heavens, is an entity of great power, but also an entity of great fairness. And as you're reading through it, as dry as it is with 12, it can be hard to grasp some of the more dense excerpts. But then you learn of what the original king called the first ruling, which was remarkably poignant to you. The first ruling stated that any and all dragons would see mortals both as their equal and as their servants.
Hmm. It seems a little backwards.
Mm-hmm.
She's not going to mention that part per se, but she is going to relay what she has read to Amilla. Assuming Amilla knows Celestial.
Okay.
So she can gauge whether or not she has passed.
As you recite some of what you read, Amilla says, "Very good. Very good. You can see the purpose of a spell such as this, particularly when it comes to research."
It's useful. It's very useful. It's a little hard to get through this text.
But I imagine so. From what I understand, this text is pre-silence. So they had a different way of writing back then, unfortunately. It's a bit like a slog through spaghetti, as it were. A very roundabout way of speech and writing. Lots of color, but little flavor. That being said, many useful lessons have been recorded in history before the gods vanished, so it is what it is. Now, do you think this spell is one that you'd like to have access to in the future? The sort of thing. Why not? Very well. Then, after your next, test, should you succeed, I will award you another 50 gold to acquire another scroll of Comprehend Languages.
They say knowledge is power, so...
They do say that a lot, and they seem to be knowledgeable. That was a joke.
Ha ha, I see.
I do my best.
Sorry, I'm very dense when it comes to literal like that.
That's fair. Well, that is all I had planned for you today. You've done very well today, Irolahne. You are welcome to keep studying, as you still have, I think, another 30 minutes of that spell, or you can be on your way, but that is all I had for you, so...
Well, I'm not going to waste that 50 gold you gave me, so she's going to grab another book, one she doesn't understand.
Okay. Roll me a D100.
D100 coming up, it is a 88.
88.
What will the dice do with my story
today? Okay. Hold on.
Holding.
No, reroll. That doesn't work.
Okay.
That wouldn't be here.
It's a 29.
Okay, you pull down a book. It is not written in Celestial. It is written in Undercommon. You read the title. It says, "The Mysterious Domains of the Graveyard, in the Footsteps of Our Most Revered Fathers."
Oh yeah, she definitely opens that one up and gives it a quick skim.
Roll me investigation.
Okay. Should not close that down. Cool.
13. Your skim informs you about a particular circle of horizon walkers, of magic users that spent their time breaching the gap between the prime material plane and the Shadowfell. You learn of this circle of rangers that navigated the world both on this side of the veil and the next, doing what they could to isolate threats of undead from the prime material plane and sending them back to the Shadowfell, particularly undead that were intelligent. Liches, revenants, wights, ghouls, banshees, the sort of undeads that weren't just after life, but were actually intelligent in their pursuits. The sort of undead that were created with purpose. And as you're reading through it, there are some pretty harrowing accounts of undead being in places remarkably close to where the living regularly spend their lives. Undead hiding within general stores. Undead taking over the bodies of clerics and priests, desecrating hallowed ground. And it's more a report of how this circle, the circle known as the Revered Fathers, did what they could to defend this region. With a 13, you're not sure where this happened.
With a 13, do I know who they are? Like, the Revered
Personally?
Father?
Not really. You know that they're rangers that could, it seems, hop between planes. But you don't know much more detail than that.
Okay.
You'd have to spend more time with the book. Which, unfortunately, within 30 minutes, isn't very much time at all. As the comprehend languages ends, and the undercommon language, which is full of strange vowel accents and an alphabet that doesn't quite match up with common, you don't know what you're reading. You almost watch as the page turns from legible to illegible.
As she watches that, she's gonna feel like her mouth is a little dry. This undead stuff is really scary. I'm glad it's not gonna happen again, right?
You say that aloud? Amila says, I don't know what gave you that idea. Undead is one of the greatest threats we deal with.
Bill?
Of course. Necromancy is too alluring a draw for any spellcaster. It's too simple to get power, too easy to abuse.
Well, what do we do about it? Or nothing?
We destroy them with extreme prejudice, to put it bluntly. Necromancy as a magic, a school on its own, is not evil nor good. It is the same tool as any other school of magic. Spellcasters that devote their lives to the creation of undead beings, the animation of corpses, or rather the drawing of magic from life itself, which is truly what necromancy is, a simulation of power. It's too easy for those to learn, too easy to abuse, and such. We do teach it here, but we are careful about its implementation.
You teach it here?
We teach all forms of magic here.
But how are you so sure any of the students that do learn it aren't going to go and, I don't know, make history repeat itself?
There is a certain amount of responsibility and accountability that we assume from all of our contractors. Now, any student that decides to learn necromantic magic, well, Tabernacle pays close eye on, as do I. Should anybody show the patterns of attempting to form a cult, such as the followers of the Star, they have a brief conversation with one of us, and then it usually doesn't happen again. Anything such as a reach for power, like the followers of the star attempted, while they are a contractor here, it just wouldn't work. We can see them attempting to form armies of undead, I suppose. We've not had any spellcasters attempt it yet. But there are always the ambitious ones.
She nods and she puts the book back up where it should be. Well, spells worn off.
I figured it would.
It was a wonderful lesson, Miss Amilla. Thank you.
You're welcome. Off you go. Unless you have questions.
Who... Just gonna ask about the book she just read.
The Revered Fathers?
Yes, thank you. Who are they exactly?
Let me roll a history check for Amilla. See what she knows. The Revered Fathers... Well, that's old. Not as old as the first book you selected, but fairly old. They were a group of rangers founded within Arbara who made it their lives' mission to cleanse the world of undead, like many before them and many after them. They were somewhere within I think the 4th millennia? I'm not sure. What I do know, they were a fairly large circle of hunters that had found a magical artifact that could bring them between the planes of the Prime Material and the Shadowfell. The Plane of Shadows has constantly been one full of undead and those who can control them. An entire race of elves have been devoted to, well, the control of undead and reside within the Shadowfell.
Could they make this book?
No. The book was... Well, I don't read Undercommon, so I don't know who it was written by. But I'm sure it was authored by an enthusiast or a member of the Revered Fathers. What I know I've learned from my own studies into the undead back from when I was a soldier.
Well, I guess it's good to ask.
Are you intending to fight undead?
Well, if it's something that... If they are our biggest threat, I imagine that I will eventually have to. So.
It's true. It is likely that as a contractor you will have to deal with undead more than most other threats.
Then yes, I do intend on fighting them.
Well, perhaps we should concentrate on those lessons then.
What would that entail? Do I have to do anything special?
Oh, experience is the best teacher there is. It might require a trip to the Shadowfell. How do you feel about that?
What's that?
Oh dear. Okay. I just realized I've dropped that word on you many times and you had no idea what I was talking about.
I tried to think about it, but nope. I haven't heard it come through.
What do you know of the planes, Irolahne?
I know there's a big, very pretty one called the Astral Plane.
Yes, there is.
Actually, can I roll a history check? Would Tabernacle have taught her?
He probably would have tried. Go ahead and roll history.
That's an 11.
11. Yeah, you know of the Astral Sea.
I know of the Astral Sea and this one right here that we're on. But other than that... Yeah,
all right, fair enough. The Shadowfell is a parallel plane to ours. We reside on the Prime Material. There are a few other planes that are awfully close to us, as if just on the other side of a curtain. They resemble this plane, much in terrain, in flavor, smell, wind, weather. However, there are some key differences. While the prime material is an equal concentration of all the emotions of the world, magic, rain, fog, cold, heat, it's all an equal blend here. The Feywild, which is the best example of a plane dense in magic, is chaotic and unusual and strange, yet beautiful. It sings of the emotions of, well, whimsy, confusion, dreams, those sorts of things. The Shadowfell, or the Plane of Shadow, is a plane not entirely dark, but it is absent mostly of the emotions of happiness. It is a depressing place,
Oh, lovely.
full of death and gloom. In fact, should one spend too much time there, they will find themselves becoming depressive. Many cases, spending too much time there will cause a person to take their own life.
And I want to go there?
For a short stint of time, it won't bother you. It won't even affect you, really. But
Okay.
it is still a depressing place to be.
Sounds it.
It is also where most undead wander freely.
Well, if they're in their own plane, what would I need to do? Like, why would I need to bother them then?
If we are going to practice fighting the undead,
That makes sense.
that is where we would go.
Yeah, of course. That makes sense.
The undead in the Shadowfell don't bother us here, as they are stuck on that plane and they can't really come here. The problem occurs when necromancers create them here.
Right. What kind of experience do I need to be able to go to the Shadowfell?
Oh, we can take you there. Tabernac has a unique apparatus that makes it very easy to go from plane to plane.
His room? I know he talked about that moving.
No, it's simpler than that. We will talk about it in the future when we discuss actually traveling there. In the meantime, you have too many basics to catch up on before we can actually risk sending you to the Shadowfell, with or without an escort.
I suppose that's true. I'm nowhere near ready enough.
Now, from what I hear, you had a bit of a struggle with a large spider, and so hordes of undead is going to be, too much. No offense.
It was a scary spider.
I am certain it was. And you did remarkably well felling it. However, a spider feels pain. A spider knows fear. Undead do not.
Right.
Undead will not be afraid of you. They will not run from you. They will simply continue trying to kill you. Even with the last bit of life left in them, they will continue trying to strike you down.
That's unpleasant.
It is what makes them useful soldiers for a necromancer. They don't feel fear as humans or elves or anybody. It just doesn't register. There is an exception. Should a cleric channel the powers of divine, they can instill fear into the undead. It is one of the only tools we truly have useful against the undead. Which is why, during the War of the Dead, when the gods were silent, no cleric could instill fear in any undead. That's why it was a big deal.
Guess I need to do more reading on that bit.
It is awfully depressing. I recommend perhaps doing so when you're in a good mood so as not to put you off.
Probably a good bit of advice.
I did live it.
Sounds pleasant.
It wasn't.
Absolutely pleasant.
It was not. But I appreciate the attempt at humor.
See, we're both great at it.
We have so much in
Anyways.
common.
So much. Anyways, speaking of Tabernac, I should probably go say hi to him.
In that case, I wish you well, Irolahne, and I will see you tomorrow.
She's gonna head straight to the wizarding room.
Okay. Straight to the wizarding classroom.
Yep.
It is busy in here. Callie and Halliwell Halatheth are both in their studies as you enter. Callie looks up at you as you enter and she says, "Oh, hello again."
Hello, Callie.
And she immediately is back to reading. It seems as though they are busy. You do also see Tabernac in human form is up on the balcony with them. He has a book open on a pedestal, and as he looks up at you, he says, "Hello, Irolahne. Are you busy?"
Now a good time? Well, are you? Question, really.
I am reading up on some reports regarding the death of a king. It seems there's been a murder. That is of no interest to anyone here. I am curious for my own sake.
Well, I'm not gonna lie, so am I, because the students in my classroom were talking about the same thing. I have no idea what's going on. I have no idea. What king of what, of how is this important?
The king of Irelia. Well, you remember Irelia, yes?
Yeah. Yeah, we're here. Are we not?
The largest country in the world, and perhaps the most influential. The unification of 5 kingdoms that has resulted in a powerhouse of a nation, had its king just assassinated. Now they are saying they don't truly believe it was an assassination. I think otherwise, as do many others. King Strongarm was healthy. Maybe a little older in his years, but nothing beyond modern magic could have kept him alive for. And so, I study. I want to know who and why. How familiar with divination magics are you, Irolahne?
Let me see. Let me see if she even has any divination spells.
Comprehend languages is divination.
Okay, well, she doesn't have that.
Yeah, it's true.
No, she has lots of evocation and enchantment, abjuration. I only just learned a little bit of a spell today, but that's it. That I don't know divination.
Would you like to?
It's useful, so yes.
All right, have a seat.
She does.
Tabernac goes on to say, divination magic allows us to reach into the weave and see what it is that the world is hiding from us. You can look into things that have recently happened, things that have happened to those that you do not know, or things that have happened to those close to you. It is a peek into the eyes of the gods, or simply a look through the perspective of someone else. The gods are not always so willing to part with their eyesight, so you be careful who you ask.
Could you give me a rundown of the ones I shouldn't ask? Is there a lot of them? I only know Tysus.
I was more speaking in metaphor. As you cast a divination spell, your channel is not through the gods, but through the weave.
Well, I just hear them talked about a lot, and Amila just talked about clerics. So I thought they were important in all forms of magic.
All right. There are 3 branches of magic. There is the arcane, which is what you and I practice. There is the divine, which are magical powers possessed by the gods and by clerics and paladins themselves. And then there is the natural, magic imbued by the earth itself, used by druids and rangers. These are the differences, and should you cast a spell as a sorcerer, such as yourself, no matter the language, no matter the linguistics, that spell will be performed through the arcane, through the weave, through the bending of the fabric of the universe itself. Likewise, if a cleric were to cast the same spell, it would not be through the weave, it would be through the magical, divine energy provided to them by one of the gods.
Oh, okay. So they borrow power.
Yes.
We're connected to it.
Well, kind of. It's more complicated than that. As a wizard, it is not about borrowing power. It is knowing how to ask for that magic. As a sorcerer, you know how to use that magic entirely by heritage. It is in your blood. You don't have to practice the hand motions and words, you just know them.
What plane of magic, or not plane of magic, what type of magic is necromancy from?
Necromancy can be of arcane in origin. It can be of divination, or divine in origin. And it can also be of nature. It is not limited in source. Necromancy is simply a set of rules that one follows when casting a spell. Just as evocation is a set of rules when one wants to blow something up.
Okay. So, what more about divination can you teach me?
Well, have you any divination spells?
Unfortunately, I just used the scroll. Comprehend languages that I got today from Amela.
She is teaching you of imprinting. This is a good thing.
She let me pick. I picked it.
Well, divination is how you ask answers. How you ask questions of the weave. As an arcane caster, your divinations will entirely be through the fabric of the universe itself, looking through the weave at different ley lines and access points to see what it is that the world can show you, beyond the perceptions of any mere mortal. What was the spell that you chose that was divination?
Comprehend languages.
And so, by casting Comprehend Languages, you asked the weave for the knowledge to see the true intention behind the words that were written or spoken to you. You were not reading those words. You were looking upon them, and the weave told you what was intended. Do you understand?
Yes. So, was it like a rough translation, or...
It is as rough as true intentions can be. Comprehend Languages as a divination spell is very potent in finding the true meaning behind what something has been written or said. Now, that does not mean it can see through truth and lies. It can only detect intent. So, perhaps as you were reading, you may have not noticed metaphors or soliloquy written in the text. But that's because they were just decorative writing. And what you read was the true meaning behind what the author had said.
That can be a little confusing. But, if it's the truest part of the book, then surely it doesn't matter.
No, not really. For the most part, it is you understand what you comprehend what was written.
Okay. Say, can I take another look at that thing?
I'm sorry? You're going to have to be more specific. I've shown you a lot of things, Irolahne.
um, the one that I looked into and it hurt my head for a minute.
The Ocularum.
That thing, yes.
Yes. To what purpose?
Just want to look again.
Very well. You have heard my warnings before. Be careful, and should I hear you stumble and fall on the ground, I will see if I can help.
I will hopefully not make a mess of it this time.
You know where it is.
She does. She goes to it.
Okay.
Give me a looky. She knows which one to look through.
You look through the Astral Seas lens?
Yep.
Okay. Roll me an intelligence save at advantage, because you know it's coming.
If I could get my shit up. Saving throw? Yeah.
Yes. 18. That is successful. You look through the ocularum into the astral sea. And as before, you feel as though all of your perceptions are taken over as you look out into the spectral abyss, looking upon nebulae, stars, objects so distant yet so near. Are you looking for something in particular?
That temple that she saw in her dream. I believe that's what it was.
Okay.
She's looking for a building. She's looking for one that looks like that.
Roll an intelligence check.
It's literally right there, Kala. Yes, and
With a dirty 20. You focus on what you saw in that dream. The upside down structure, the temple. And it is there before you in the ocularum. It floats, still upside down, its foundation broken as if it was at once settled into earth, but that earth has all been taken away, and you can see the brick that juts out into the void. The temple looks cracked, stone white, against the light that seems to permeate this place.
Can she go to it? There's just no movement whatsoever.
With a dirty 20, you focus on trying to look in, and you see the perspective through your ocularum proceed toward the temple's half-open doors. The doors are made of stone. They are partly ajar. You drift forward through the open doors, and you are looking inside this structure. It is permeated with the same light as the rest of the astral sea, and as you look around, roll me a religion check. Do you remember whose temple this is?
Isis, right?
You see, with a 21, there are a number of pews that are slightly adrift. They're not on the ground anymore. And as you're inside this temple, it is upside down. You see that there are windows set into the sides of this building, but they have stone on the other side of them, so you cannot see through them. In each window, there are mosaics cast into the glass. The glass is cracked and broken, but you can see that the panes make the outline of murals of people being guided. At the far end of the temple, you see that there is a pedestal that is also adrift, but it's only a few inches off the ground, just at a slight cant. There is, from here, you can see a book that is floating off of the pedestal. It is mostly closed. A few of the pages are far apart enough that the book looks slightly open. And beyond that, you see there is the statue of a man wearing a tall cloak, hiding his face. The man is kneeling down. In one hand, he has a shepherd's crook. The other hand, his hand is open, reaching out. And there is a fine cord wrapped around his palm.
Is there any way she can get a look at that book from where she's at? I don't know if her eyes could pick up anything, or if it's even legible.
As you focus on the book, you drift closer to it, the temple slowly turning in your perspective as if it's righting itself. The book floats just off of the pedestal. You just speak Common and Draconic?
And Gith.
And Gith. You do not know what language the book is written in. The cover of it, it shows several words in a language you don't understand. You do see that the book is slightly open, and there are some visible writing inside it, but you can't tell what the words say.
Does the text look familiar at all?
Roll me a history check.
No.
Nope.
Okay.
It looks old. The text looks very like it was... The language as if it was written with a very heavy hand. Blocky letters.
She'll disregard the book then, since she can't read it. And nothing else seems to be in here, just the statue and the pews.
Roll me perception.
It's a 9.
Nothing else of note. You don't see any people in here. I'll say that. You don't see anybody in here.
Does that mean there's things that aren't people in here?
Pews, the pedestal,
Okay.
the book.
Alright, so there's nothing living in here that
Correct.
I can see. Well, she's gonna turn around and look outside of it.
Roll me another intelligence check. 15. You move slower than before. Your perspective slowly drifts toward the open doors until you are looking back outside the temple. You are looking out into the astral void.
She peeks her head out the doors. Do you see anything moving that isn't just the vast emptiness of junk that tends to come into the astral sea?
Roll me perception.
No.
No, you do not. With a natural one, there just isn't anything to see out here. The astral sea is empty at this point. You feel... Well, you feel as though you're still in Tabernac's classroom. Even though you're looking out into the astral sea and your perceptions are swallowed by the ocularum, you feel as though you're looking out the temple, but also like you're still in Tabernac's lair.
She thinks about looking for the snake on the horizon. But then she thinks about other dragons. And so
Okay.
she really wants to look out for one of those.
Roll me an intelligence check. Okay. I need to make a roll.
Oh, okay.
No way. All right. Okay. As you're looking through the ocularum, suddenly you move. Your perspective drifts. And you don't know how long you're looking through the ocularum as just everything is moving and shifting. Suddenly, what is before you is the half-broken core of a mountain. A massive stone, almost a sphere, as though it was shaped. But the sphere has this enormous quarter taken out of it, hollowed out. And within, you catch movement as you're looking. Through the ocularum, you see a brilliant purple and blue creature, writhing and twisting. It surges out of the core, and you see a fully grown dragon coasting, its wings relaxed and loose at its side, as it floats out of the core of the heart of a mountain. And you watch as it floats out and gathers something. Roll me a perception check. Can't tell what's on it, but this astral dragon clearly wraps its claws and foreclaws around a cart, a wagon, missing a horse. The cover on it is torn, but the whole cart is of the same pale color the Temple of Tysus was. And it is dragged back toward the core of the mountain by the dragon until it is pulled within.
Irolahne is in awe. She's going to try and get closer. She's not so much really, she doesn't care about the cart, although it is curious why a cart. Out of all the things here, why a cart? But she wants to see the dragon up close. Again.
Roll another intelligence check.
Come on. 14?
You concentrate on trying to see more of the dragon, as the dragon then flits back out of the core, and you watch as its claws dart and collect tiny objects, too small for you to see from here. It's gathering them up in its claws and bringing them back toward this heart of a mountain. As you try and get closer to see, it is as though the ocularum is resisting you, or as though there's just no movement to be had. You cannot get any closer.
She lingers for a little longer. Is it still doing anything? Is it just... She just stares, really.
This astral dragon you watch over the next maybe 10-15 minutes as it gathers up all the things that were fallen out of the cart, floating in the void of the astral sea. And then, the last movement it makes, you watch as the astral dragon, seemingly satisfied with what it had gathered from the cart, surges away from the core of the mountain and off into the darkness.
She pulls out of the ocularum.
You emerge. Okay. You are back in Tabernac's lair with all your faculties about you.
Thank goodness.
Tabernac is right over your shoulder, and he says, "Did you see anything interesting?"
I saw another astral dragon.
Oh? Did you go looking for one?
Well, at first, no. I wanted to see that big snake creature.
Did you?
I did. But then I thought, it's a big place. Surely there's another astral dragon out there somewhere. And there is. They're huge,
Well,
but
I do recommend, in the future, should you go peering in the astral sea, if Eventua knows you are looking for them, they will look for you too.
I don't know how would they know I'm looking for them? What kind of traces would I leave behind? I don't. Am I actually there?
No, you are just looking in. But Eventua, that is the name of the Horizon Serpent. You don't,
Uh,
you don't seek it out, with no fear for consequence.
are are they dangerous? I mean, outside of the obvious.
There is talk that Eventua will occasionally offer their services as a patron for warlocks. There is also talk that should one cross Eventua, they are cast into the astral sea with no control over their velocity for eternity.
Having been in the astral sea in her dreams, that honestly makes her shudder. Because she couldn't really right herself for the most part.
Yeah. Tabernac, seeing you acknowledge that is a real threat, he says, "Good. You understand the weight of such a danger."
Well, otherwise, it's not much there, is there?
There is so much lost in the astral sea. It's just
Things
knowing what you're looking for.
Well, I guess other than another dragon, my kind, I don't know what else to be looking for there. I did see a temple, which turns out to be Tysus's temple. I didn't know he lived there.
He guides the lost souls of those who have died through the astral sea to their afterlife, to judgment at the hands of Croesus.
Well, I guess that's that.
Do not ever underestimate the astral sea. It is unending, and they say it holds the keys to what truly happened during the isolation. None of us truly know.
I'd like to find out, since it's supposed to be where I'm supposed to be. But
I would also like to find out. These are the questions that burn in all of our minds.
I don't know about all of our minds.
Everyone I care about.
Fair enough. Now what? That's all I had planned for the day.
Aren't you hungry? Perhaps go get some dinner.
Is it that time already?
You have been staring into my ocularm for 3 hours, Irolahne.
I'm sorry, what?
It is 7 o'clock in the evening.
Pause the recording real quick.
Yes, it is dinner time, so you are welcome to spend your evening here if you like, but you should perhaps eat something.
I mean, it's been a long day. I didn't realize I had spent so much time looking into almost nothing. But I suppose that's the vice of research.
So it is.
But I will
Knowledge
go-
is power, after all.
That's exactly what I said. But I guess I'll go get something to eat. It hasn't really been that long of a day. It's just been a very slightly uneventful day.
Be grateful for the quiet. You will miss it on days where it is not so.
I feel like you're right, but I also feel like I wish more would happen.
You may regret that in the coming days.
Hope not, she says as she's heading up the stairs or wherever.
Sure.
Out.
You're leaving Tabernac's classroom. Are you indeed heading toward the mess hall?
Unless something else catches her attention, yeah, she's gonna go get some yums.
All right. Roll me a d8.
D8, D8. Stop it. Thank you. That's an 8.
Roll me a d12.
That's a 9. I don't like it when you make faces. Echo.
Yes?
Okay, I'm just making sure. Your mouth is moving, but they didn't hear anything.
Sorry. Roll me a perception check.
Ooh. That's another 12.
What would you be keeping on your belt?
She has a pouch for her gold so that she can access it easy. What did I pick for her focus?
It just says arcane focus.
Okay, so she'd probably have a little gem. Like kind of like I don't know how to describe. It's kind of like hooked on her belt. It's like a little package.
Sure.
And that's it. She probably would just have her gold and her arcane focus on her.
Okay. As you head to the mess hall, you get yourself some dinner, which, in the case of today, dinner appears to be roast chicken and various vegetables to go along with it. As you get yourself a plate of food and you sit down, you realize that a purple tiefling is seated across from you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize this table was taken.
The purple tiefling has a chicken bone in her mouth, and she just kind of shrugs and shakes her head.
Okay.
And then she sets in front of you your arcane focus.
She looks down. She's like, "Excuse me. Did I drop this? I thank you."
She shrugs.
She'll take it, kind of squinting at this tiefling, like, okay.
She takes another large bite of chicken.
You're quiet. That's a first for me.
She nods.
My name's Irolahne.
After a large swallow of chicken, you hear, "I'm Skalna."
You're... What class do you take?
She raises an eyebrow and takes another bite of chicken.
Does it feel... Actually, can I roll something to see if I figure out whether or not she grabbed this from me?
Roll an insight check.
Okay.
A 17. The gesture that she's made, the way she handed you your arcane focus, and the way she kind of smirked when you asked what class she's in, you imagine she's probably a thief or a rogue of some kind.
I'm going to assume you're one of the sneaky kind.
She shrugs.
Maxwell.
And then she nods.
Not gonna lie, the silence is almost refreshing. She begins to eat. Thank you for giving this back.
She nods.
She's gonna put it She's gonna put it back, and they're probably gonna have a silent dinner.
As you're eating, eventually at some point, Skolna reaches down, and she sets a small. It's like this long. It's a little wooden. It looks a little more than a dowel, but it is finely finished, and there is an opening set into it. And she sets it on the table in front of you.
What is, what is this? What is?
She kind of tilts her head and looks at you. Uh, her when she tilts her head, you see that her long purple hair almost drips into the gravy from the chicken. But she then kind of pointedly looks to where you put the arcane focus.
You don't like to talk much, do you?
She shakes her head.
Okay. Well, I suppose that um she's
She
gonna
she picks up the wooden rod and she holds out her hand to you, open.
she's she's gonna cautiously take it. She's just got like this really confused squinty face. Like sh- she's worried that she's gonna do the wrong thing, but she's really looking at Skolna's expression every time she does something.
When you take the wooden rod, Skolna's eyebrows rise as if encouraging.
Okay, she nods. What
And
is it?
roll an intelligence check. You've seen these before. It looks like a blasting rod. It looks like the sort of thing that you'd set a crystal into. It looks like the sort of thing that would be part of an arcane focus.
I see now. I get it. I get it. I get you. Okay. For me?
She nods.
Thank you. No one's given me a gift yet. And she'll figure it out. She'll figure out how to put her focus in it, which is a black opal stone. It's not quite opal because I'm sure that has value, but it looks like something like that.
And when you set the arcane focus into the blasting rod, Skolna smiles wide and then begins to eat more chicken.
He's fucking adorable, so she is. Um, Thank you again. And she will eat some food now. Um, and she will look around. Who else is here? What
Roll
else is
perception.
going on? 13.
Let's see if anybody else shows up. Okay, roll me another d12.
A 3.
As you are eating your chicken dinner, the
Mm.
stool next to you scoots out, and the large form of a half-orc sits down next to you. And Anscombe says, "It's been a while since I've seen you around. You've been hiding or practicing that
Oh,
viol."
actually, you know what? I haven't touched it since I last saw you, which was a while ago. You're right. How are you today, Anscombe?
I'm doing good. Got my ass kicked today. Which I guess doesn't really sound like I'm doing good, but I am. I'm doing pretty good. Thank you for asking.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. I met your friend Lilith.
You did, huh?
Yeah, she's quite the character. I
Yeah.
think she liked my purple ears. And she called them.
That would be something she'd say. Yep. She's the one who put me on my ass today. That's how it goes.
She often your sparring partner?
Usually. Yep. Irolahne really likes to pair us because we fight completely different.
Not because you hate each other?
I think he just thinks that's funny.
Yes, that sounds like Irolahne from what I know of him.
Yeah, it sure is. But anyway, how's your meal been? Eating by yourself, I figured you'd have company.
No, I just have she's gone, obviously.
No, Skona's still there.
What?
Skona's right across the table from you.
She looks at Skolna and she blinks.
Skolna shrugs.
You don't... She points at Skolna.
As soon as you point Skolna out, Anscombe goes, oh, sorry, I don't know how I missed you. And Skolna just kind of tilts her head and shrugs.
She's the silent type. I bet she's the A+ student in the rogue classroom.
I guess. I wouldn't know. Fuck. I have a slight heart attack now. How do you do that? How do you just slip notice? And Skolna just shrugs. You're purple. I don't understand. I swear I looked right there and you were not there a minute ago.
Really good at it. Are you sure you're not a magic user, Skolna?
Skolna shakes her head.
Well, this has been lovely. This has been a lovely dinner as she finishes up the rest of her vegetables.
Okay.
She's gonna part her ways with them. And she's gonna head up to her room.
Okay.
How fun as that was.
Roll me perception.
Okay. $15.
Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
As you get to your room and you turn to close the door, Skolna is there.
Shit.
And as you're closing the door, Skolna says, "You should go deeper into the forest if you're going to fly around."
Is all she can say. I don't know what you're talking about.
That's good. Good night, Irolahne.
Good night.
And she leaves.
Irolahne can feel her face getting red in that familiar feeling of embarrassment when you've been caught in the act.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because she hadn't the foggiest that she had been spotted. And with that, she's going to check like literally every corner of the room now. She is going to try and make sure that there's nobody else in the room.
Roll investigation.
Dirty 20.
There's no one else in the room. Your roommate, Cordell, has not returned either. The room is quiet. aside from your bed and your roommate's bed, there's no sign of anybody having been here. You kind of, at one point, you like sit down and you look at the blasting rod that Skolna gave you. You didn't notice it at first, but on the bottom of it, where it's round and flat, there is clearly a face carved into the bottom. It is what looks like a smiley face, but with two winding horns off the top. An odd.
That looks like hers.
It looks like Skolna's smiley face.
She's cute. She likes it. She really likes it. She'll put it back on her belt.
And at that moment, as you settle in for the evening with some new paranoia, that is where we will stop today's session.
Way more paranoia than she really needed.
Thank you for playing with me. I hope you had a good time. That was a session of many lessons.
Lots of lessons learned today.